I love this. Well, when I say I love it, what's that? Really, Fiat? Honestly.
It's alright, that.
Right, 1.4 turbo engine. Very, very similar to what is in the Panda. Double overhead cam. Most of the stuff is in the same place. A lot of the stuff is very similar well, part-wise. You can see it's been stood a while. You've got this patina over everything. The belts are good. They're looking very good, in fact. Although that tensioner down there looks as if it's seen better days. It's interesting because that accessory belt is original. It looks new, but it's got FPT on it. The oil filter on these is in a much different place, which is interesting because on the Panda you drop the tray off it, which you've got to do pretty much anyway, and you can get to everything. Don't know what it's going to be like under here. Obviously the main difference is what's under there. Standard 135 brake. This is a very early version of this car. I'm going to have a quick squiz round it, show you all the issues that I've spotted so far, and that what we're going to have to undertake to get this car back to its sort of, you know. And yeah, so you can tell it's been stood, and I'm surprised because my Panda was stood for 18 months outside. The guy was desperately trying to get rid of it for over a year. Nobody wanted it, and I bought it as a parts car. Ended up repairing it, but that's, you know, by the by. But it was still, and it did have quite a lot of corrosion on it. It wasn't quite. It's really odd, this, because it's been stored in a really good garage, not wet at all. So it is, you know, it's had a new battery on it. I know that he fitted a new battery on it. And it's I'll charge it properly, even though it's got the red dot's a bit concerning. I don't know what that means on these, but yeah, it's fairly recent. So and it starts and runs fine, and it doesn't do what it usually does with these things. And when the battery gets a bit funny, a bit iffy, it moans about everything. It's running fine. There is something else. This is something I've known. I mean, wow. Yeah, that's just, you know, and I know why. And even though this has been stored in a garage for several years now, you can see, yeah, so all of that's blocked. So all of that's going to have to come off, and we are going to have to, yeah, man, that's obviously got really wet at some point. P0 Nero. What size are they? Oh, it's 17s. The wheels are okay. That's the worst of the curb rash. I'll be honest, I'm not going to do anything with those. They are what they are. It'll be cleaned up, and yeah, I'm not majorly. There is one thing I have noticed that I'm a little bit, and I didn't see before I did the deal, and that's this, which is quite disappointing. I don't know what I'm going to do about that yet. That's quite a bit of damage. You can't see it massively from looking at the car, but yeah, now I know it's there, and that is quite serious. The bumper itself, just it's all solid, it's all in place. There's no I didn't really think these had side intercoolers on them as well. Right, okay. Yeah, so as we go round internally, the seats are a little bit, they're alright. I've got the same seats in my Panda, which are obviously replacements, but as you can see, they need a little bit of love. Now I can bring a lot of this back with a bit of conditioner and a bit of you know, that's a bit I can't imagine why or how that would occur, other than somebody trying to remove that. I don't get it. It's and this is part of the airbag assembly as well. So the replacement would be an airbag. Well, that's a bit disappointing. That is. Aftermarket stereo. Not entirely sure why, because you've got the upgraded sound system in here, along with So AC, that might need recharging. And as we go round, I shall show you. Boot's open. Yes, that's the original stereo that's in there. I love this. Well, when I say I love it, what's that? Really, Fiat? Honestly, there's not a lot going on in here, is there? You're not going to get many people. Yeah. Anyway, another four-seater like the Panda. Yeah, it has been stood a while. Generally, the car's really clean. There aren't many marks on the bodywork at all. There's one or two. It is a 10-year-old car, 12-year-old car, and it has been, used. It's 88,000 miles. Well, at least that's an easy fix. Yes. One of the major issues we're going to be facing with this, though, and anyone who's got any experience with 500s will know exactly where this is going. Yeah. So all of that's going to need to be stripped down. That whole pod's going to need to be pulled out, and we've got to get that display out of there and source a replacement, which is getting more difficult to do, but you have to get it out to get the number off it to get the right replacement. I'm hoping it's not going to cost more than £100 for that replacement. I really do, because there are obviously a few other bits and pieces in here that are going to need sorting out. That's interesting. That'll take a bit of fixing. Looking at it, this has been apart, and I didn't notice this as well. I don't know what's gone on here or who's attempted this. It wasn't me. This was not caused by my monkeying. I've got some OE screws here because basically it should be the same as the Panda. But yeah, somebody's had a good go at that, and I'm assuming it was in an attempt to, because you know where this is going. Anybody who knows anything about 500s, the other problem that we've got to deal with on this is and also a period issue, and that is, even though this car has been stood in a dry environment, as you can see, we've got the gout in the axle. So this has got to be removed, and I will then assess it to see whether it's got to be replaced or it can be saved. Now, I saved the axle on my Panda without any issue whatsoever. In fact, it looks new. I'm not sure I can achieve the same effect with this, because there's going to need to be a lot of work done. Unfortunately, the exhaust is in a very similar state of affairs. It's not. I'm assuming, actually, I've got some lovely aluminium paint. Let me change the light. Oh, here we go. Look at that. I've got some lovely aluminium paint, but it has to be cleaned. It's all got to be taken off and treated, and that's a lot of work. Yes, so that's the main. The rest of the car is, like I said, it sounds a pound, and there's a lot going for it. Oh Christ, these tyres are brand new. The brakes are brand new on it as well. There's a lot of better treatment fluid got to go on everything, aren't you? There show those brake hoses. Yeah, what will happen is when you try to take the axle off, is you've got to separate the hard lines from the soft lines, brake wise. And what ends up happening there is they break because they're just sea solid, and you end up having to replace the brake lines anyway. The whole thing, and usually you have to replace them all the way up the car where there's some unions sort of just before it goes up to meet the servo, and you can replace it. Get the cunifer out, get the flaring kit out, some new unions, and that's probably the easiest way, and you need to plan for it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to squirt some penetrating fluid on quite a few bits and pieces, which I'm probably not going to video, and then I'm going to call it a night, and then tomorrow we're going to whiteboard the plan. But for now, oil of the duck.
It's alright, that.